farmer, I'm doing regenerative ag and soil health practices to make my farm more resilient. It just so happens that it's also contributing to solving a major problem that society is facing, which is too much carbon in the atmosphere. As I've gotten older, I started to think about how much I've really valued growing up in a small town that was based around an agriculture economy. I think that family farms are a big part of what makes small communities good places to live. We're pretty lucky in this area. We have a Ducks Unlimited coordinator who brings in a lot of speakers and stuff like that. And so I started going to those once I was full-time on the farm. They started talking about the principles of soil health. The word regenerative ag started popping up, holistic management, things like that. And it kind of was like going down a rabbit hole after that, learning as much as I could. When we were burning fossil fuels, we were pulling old carbon, century-old carbon that's been locked in the ground and burning it. So we're adding to that carbon load in our atmosphere. So we need to think about, how are we going to start putting some carbon back in? The plants, they are using photosynthesis to absorb carbon out of the atmosphere. They are then releasing that carbon into the soil that then microorganisms can feed off of. So that carbon cycle is always happening. Back then, this landscape would be a mix of bush and prairies. And there'd be massive herds of ruminants, whether that's bison, elk, groups of moose, herds of deer. And they would go through an area. They would either eat or trample all the vegetation that they went past. Then they probably wouldn't come back to that area for another year or 2 or 3. They'd be leaving a thick layer of organic matter on the surface. And as that organic matter broke down, it'd become our topsoil that we have here today. It's taken me a while to realize this, but we're just trying to farm in sync with nature. Nature's had it figured out for a long time. The world's been running like this for thousands of years. Just like how the bison and other ruminants made this topsoil, if it grazed properly, cows will increase the amount of carbon that's sequestered in a grassland. Each piece only gets grazed for 2 days a year. And the whole time it's growing back, it's pumping carbon into the soil. Our pastures are more resilient than they were before. We have some fields that have increased by 3% organic matter in less than 6 years. We like to feel like we've moved past that sustainability point and are actually looking to regenerate and improve. I think that dairy farmers are just positioned to really use these practices. Not only is it going to make farms more sustainable, it could be a major solution for the world's carbon problem. You got to take a lot of pride and you got to find some meaning in it. And for me, if we can work with nature to not only benefit different animals and species around us, but also society, I take a lot of pride in that.